to shift topics here, something I think that you are uniquely qualified to speak about is the trends of the local market. You've been doing this here since the Great Recession. A lot of people look at Gary, Indiana, they look at Northwest Indiana, and they do a Google search, and the Google search says depressed, depopulating, suffering in the Rust Belt, steelworks went away, high crime, high poverty, don't invest in this area. Yet you've got over 120 rental units, you've done hundreds of flips. You put all of those preconceived notions and biases people have, and you just wipe them out. So can you explain to the viewers, like, where do you see the trajectory of this area going? Is it going to appreciate in value? Are we going to see people move back to this area? Are neighborhoods revitalizing? And actually, probably both of you guys can speak to that, but we'll start with you.
Yeah, Angela will probably have a better.
We'll start with you.
I mean,
I'm serious.
So Gary, I mean, Illinois, Chicago is way worse than Gary.
Right.
I drive by Chicago sometimes, and I am so scared for my truck to break down. No, seriously. Gary, I mean, I lived one street over. So I used to live on 52nd. 52nd, the other side is Gary, this side is Merivale. But it's, I probably lived there like 5-6 years and never had any troubles. Nothing bad. I mean, Gary just, it is abandoned, but I mean, it's definitely growing. There's you see people moving to Gary all the time. I mean, you see a lot of people investing in Gary as well. Fixing up the homes, keeping them as rentals or flips. And I feel like it's going to keep appreciating. I think we have a good, if Illinois keeps, Chicago or Illinois keeps the way they're going, Gary's soon going to, be up. It's already really, really well, but it's going to keep appreciating for sure.
So, like, you're on Lake Station, which is technically East Gary, right?
I think it used to be Gary, right?
Yeah.
Because some addresses still come up as Gary.
Exactly. So, why over there? I know we might have touched on this already, but like, how is the market so different?
I mean, for some reason, we've been very lucky in Lake Station, and I lived in Lake Station for 2 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I know the market very well. Closer we get to Portage, the better. But I mean, close to Gary, still pretty well. I mean, that area, you just have the regular, normal person that has a wife and a husband with kids, and they have regular jobs. So it's it's nothing. I mean, it's not super nice, but it's still a good working place. You don't have that many houses abandoned in Lake Station.
Yeah.
And it's that's why we've kind of chosen Lake Station as well. That's awesome. East Chicago too. I mean, it's right next to Whiting. And then the mayor's doing a great job there in East Chicago.
Yeah.
There's something like if there's a building abandoned, he'll tag it,
right,
and they'll knock it down.
They're out there measuring people's grass, finding them.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, I get notices. Dude,
if there's garbage in the lawn.
I get like 4 notices a week over garbage. I mean that the dumpster overflows and they're over here taking a picture. Seriously, I mean,
it's so city.
I mean, but we still correct it, and it's
As frustrating as that may be, I actually think it's the right thing to do.
I think so as well.
If you were to drive through Gary, or if you've driven through these areas, it's the broken window theory, which is the theory we have in policing. If you've got a bunch of houses on a street or a bunch of buildings on a street, as soon as one window gets broken, if it doesn't get fixed immediately, then it just starts to invite more crime and riffraff. It brings the entire ambiance of the area down, and it just invites the type of stuff you don't want. So even though it's extremely obnoxious to have somebody out there measuring your grass or fining you for one piece of garbage, it's like at the same time, this is how you turn this area around. And it's needed.
And I think that Wendy's, right? They're bringing up a Wendy's in EC.
Oh yeah.
They just put it.
I get Wendy's. I do a $5 baby bag.
Better than McDonald's.
It is cheaper and better.
And they got a Dunkin' Donuts there too last year, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not Chick-fil-A, but
you're right. But it's still good.
It's still.
Okay, Angela, hold on. I want you to give us your opinion on the trajectory of not just Gary, but Northwest Indiana in general. Like, talk about it, what you've seen, just how it's transitioned in the last couple of years, where you think it's going.
Oh man, I mean, just recently I went to a meeting where we talked about the market forecast. I think we're down like 14% from last year. And granted, they are forecasting it's going to be going not only back to zero, but maybe even 13% above what it was. So
we're talking price here?
We're talking about national, local average, right? On sales, on pricing, on just the overall real estate market in their improvements of the large array, right?
Okay.
So the thing is, what I'm seeing is a lot of people from Chicago have been coming in ever since COVID's been going on. But with the Feds consistently raising interest rates, it's slowing down. People are choosing to kind of moderate that. I mean, I think in the last month in July, I think it was like 3.3% less in home sales than it's been in the past year. So it's been slowing down. Granted, some of these areas, man, are untapped potentials. I mean, you're investing in Lake Station, you're investing in Gary. I mean, those places are primo, because the property taxes, man. I mean, I think we touched on it not too long ago, where your property taxes. I mean, I'm seeing in Lake Station or Gary being like 500, 700 on the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's incredible for a 60, 70. I mean, I sold a house for 110,000 and it had 750 on the year for taxes. I mean, those
it's
are
hard
the
to beat
potentials.
that.
Yeah, those are the potentials. I mean, what's your holding cost compared to any other market? You could rent that out for like $850 if it's a 2-bedroom, or $950. I mean, your return on your money in Northwest Indiana is going to be so ideal because we don't have all that traffic of Chicago. You know what I mean? All that influx and that pressure, and it's cooled off. So that's my take on it. I hope I didn't overdo it.
That $750 a year is probably what we pay a month in Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Washington.
Or more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Seattle is terrible.
It's
so I didn't
bad,
want to tell you guys mine. It's throw up in your mouth a little bit. So if I was going to give my perspective on where Gary in Northwest Indiana is headed, same thing. I drive around. So I've been driving around the last 2 days since I've been here, driving around, and I'm seeing more and more houses having work done on them. I see dumpsters out in front yards. I see permits up in windows. I see siding paneling, the plastic sheeting they put when they rip the paneling down. Projects are happening. It's good. Every house that I'm buying, I'm remodeling, and that's all good. And then what you talked about, how, you buy in Gary, but you're kind of buying on the fringe where it's really Lake Station, or it's really Morelville, or it's really Hammond. Well, that's fine because it's just outward pushing in as the outward fringes of Gary slowly get revitalized. It moves further and further in. And 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, if they continue to be smart and take from that Chicago population, people that can now work from home and they want to live somewhere cheaper, they want to move out of expensive Chicago and get away from the traffic or get away from the crime and go somewhere that's more affordable. And they're like, okay, I'll live in the border edge of Gary, Hammond, border edge of Morelville, Gary, and it's revitalizing the area. So I have good hopes long-term for Gary. Let me just thank the both of you guys for sitting down, Angelo and Cirillo. If people want to get a hold of you, is there a good way to get a hold of you if they want to chat or had questions for you?
Yeah, they could reach out to me on Facebook. I'm under Cirillo Favela. And then check out my company as well. On Facebook, it's Favela Homes.
I'll put the link to that down in the description below. And then Angelo, Instagram, people who message me on Instagram, I always forward them to Angelo. And I can get these guys on there. Guys, I really appreciate you taking the time for the interview. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you guys next time.